doctor last time, they told me that my eyes were better. So I presume it's something.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's 5:30, so we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. We'll begin with the invocation. Andrew, would you help us with that?
God, we'd like to ask for your guidance and wisdom and your compassion as we deal through an election night meeting here to determine the future here at this meeting for the future of North Platte, as well as the voters that are still out voting right now to make decisions to guide our city and our nation for the next 4 years. In your name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Nisley,
Here.
Backstones,
Here.
Peterson, Lucas,
Here.
Lee,
Here.
Carmen, Rieger,
Here.
Oswald.
Here.
A current copy of the Open Meetings Act in Nebraska is posted on the wall at the back of the council chambers. Consent agenda. All matters under consent agenda are considered by the city council to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. Any city council member may, however, remove an item from consent by request. Item number 1, approve minutes of October 20th, 2020. And item number 2, approve application by Big Red Liquor for a special designated license on November 28, 2020, from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. at the DNN Event Center, 501 East Walker Road for wedding reception.
Move that we approve items 1 through 2 of the consent agenda.
Second.
I don't think it worked.
There you go. And that motion passes. Regular agenda. Item number 3, adopt ordinance number 4042, amending the North Platte Code of Ordinances, Chapter 150, Building Regulations, Construction, Section 150.094, and Chapter 156, Zoning, Section 156.083, relating to footings and accessory uses on third reading.
Mayor Livingston, would you like me to read the ordinance?
Yes, please.
An ordinance of the City of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, amending Chapter 150 Building Regulations, Construction Sections 150.094 and Chapter 156 Zoning Section 156.083 relating to footings and accessory uses, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for an effective date and publication thereof in pamphlet form.
I move to adopt ordinance number 4042, amending the North Platte City Code of Ordinances, Chapter 150, Building Regulations, Construction Section 150.094, and Chapter 156, Zoning Section 156.8 or .083, relating to footings and accessory uses on final reading.
Second. Lots of seconds.
And that motion passes as well. Item number 4, authorize the mayor to execute the wetlands credit purchase agreement with the City of North Platte, Nebraska Public Power District.
I move to authorize the mayor to execute the wetlands credit purchase agreement with the City of North Platte and Nebraska Public Power District.
I have a question, Dwight.
Sure.
How does this whole mechanism work?
Brent, I think we're going to need your help.
I'd give it a shot, but Brent's more familiar.
Good evening, Brent Berkland, city engineer. The procedure is the city created and, if you want to say, went through the process with the Corps of Engineers, and we have registered with them wetlands of different types. So it's with the Corps of Engineers. And in the purchase agreement, it describes the city has acquired them and built them, and it has them accredited, if you want to call it that, with the Corps. And then there'll be a transfer. So in the wetlands bank, 0.362 acres would be credited towards MPPD. We keep that on an accounting ledger, and then then also file it with the Corps of Engineers, and that's how it's accounted for.
So does the land actually transfer?
No, it does not.
Okay.
The wetlands is what goes to them, the credit for that, so.
Just a credit, not the
Correct.
actual land?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Are we still pretty heavily banked? The last I knew, we were really heavily banked here in North Platte. Is that still the
As
case?
far as the
They-
number that we have available,
Yeah, just the excess amount of wetlands that we have.
we have about 10 to 12 acres, I believe, out of the 26. So it's about half has been, roughly, is about what's accounted for.
Do you see any, that area that the zoning was changed a couple meetings ago there by the lagoons? Do you foresee any wetlands mitigation in that area?
Depending on where at, potentially, there's some lowland ditch area, but depending on where it's at, I mean, the answer is maybe, depending on where things are at. In general, you try to avoid those areas because it's more expensive to develop, so sure, we try to be minimized.
Brent, it may be helpful to educate the council on how precious, for lack of better terms, these wetland credits are to the city. My conversation with you and Tom Warble was a very good one, and it'd be good that this group was educated, albeit some may not be here for very long.
The process to get the credits involves, and it's pretty heavily regulated by the Corps of Engineers. So it's not a simple or quick process. You have to have approval by them. They have to be constructed with their permission. They'll do inspections of the site before and after, and then you have the construction costs, and then you have to go through the maintenance cost of keeping them, keeping weeds, keeping trees out of it, things that are not, you're supposed to maintain the wetlands in the accordance of the way that it was designed for. So you can't let Russian olives, cottonwoods, other things just go crazy in that area. So just to give you an idea on the cost, we're probably in the cost when we did them, I think they were finished in 2002. It was probably roughly $35,000 an acre to do back then, and that doesn't include the city's cost of maintaining them over the years. So if you do an inflation of roughly 7%, I mean, they're probably in the $100,000 an acre cost to do it in today's dollars. So we've held on, our general thought is to hold on to them and use them wisely, not just look at what it cost 20 years ago, roughly 20 years ago. It's not $35,000 an acre. And as you guys know, the regulations are not less now from 18 years ago, they're more.
Just to piggyback, the initial request prior to my arrival was 2 acres for $35,000. And we went back to them and said, we'll give you exactly what you need for $35,000.
So we've been selling these off since 2002, or using them to mitigate other areas in the city where we've destroyed a
Correct.
wetland, is that right?
Yes, and another part, not just on the acreage, is the mitigation requirement has changed. Once upon a time, it was 1 acre. You destroyed 1 acre, you'd replace it with 1 acre. But depending on where it is, there's a complex formula that it can be 1.5, 2, or up to 3 acres of restoration per 1 acre taken out. So that's another factor, that it's not just
One for
that. Correct, it's not just one. I don't know if there's any cases probably that are 1 for 1. And they're regional. They've changed it now so it's more regional, that you can't have a wetland in McCook replaced by this one. It has to be along the South Platte and North Platte. And this is precious from the standpoint it's at the confluence of the North Platte and South Platte, which is a little unique, that it'll allow you credits either direction a little bit, so.
So did we just buy 27 acres originally and develop them into wetlands, or were they already wetlands when we bought them?
No, I believe it was part of the lagoon area. It's 30 acres of that lagoon property that was prior to me being, part of the process, but I remember being aware of it in 2002 when the city was taking that endeavor. But some of it was for the Newberry access work, was what it was initially used for, was some of the Flying J work that they did along that area, so.
So some of that area that we're considering maybe moving into different ownership, is any of that potentially developable for wetland mitigation or not?
It could be, the property over there, yeah, any of that area potentially could be, yes.
Brent, do you want to explain why does NPPD need North Platte to do this?
I don't know if I could give you all the reasons of why the prior administration had set some of the wheels in motion on working this out together. MPPD is an energy partner with the city, so I believe what they were looking for was a Cordy diversion. It was one of their projects, and it was just to do it as a cooperative agreement, I guess, in that respect. And what we've looked at is, what Matt and I have talked about is we just want to make sure we want to look at everything, going forward. It's going to be a lot more scrutinized as far as obligations of wetlands and discussions thereof.
Brent, if I recall correctly, and I hope I don't misspeak here, but part of the rehabilitation they're doing at the diversion is also could be utilized for flood mitigation for North Platte, and so that's their idea, the reciprocating portion of the sale.
We have asked the question of how does it benefit North Platte is part of the discussion.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, thanks, Brent.
And that motion passes.
I voted wrong.
Everyone votes so far.
You voted against everything so far.
Have I?
Yeah.
We're gonna vote that you're not here.
It's probably a good idea.
Yeah, I was kind of on the fence there, Ed, so.
I saw that yes and no, and I thought, oh, this isn't looking good.
Okay, item number 5. Approved collective bargaining agreement between the City of North Platte and Nebraska Public Employees, Local 251, for the term of October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2022.
I move to accept the collective bargaining agreement between the City of North Platte and North Platte Public Employees Local 251 for the term of October 1st, 2020 through September 30th of 2022.
Second.
I think I did it right.
Did you hit 3?
Yeah. There you go. Right.
And that motion passes. Item number 6 is claims.
Move that we pay the claims.
That passes as well.
Move that we adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Hey, Ed. In answer to your question, the Iron Eagle property, most of that is eligible for tax credit, or that wetlands tax credit. It would be if we were to restore it to that level, from a golf course back to a wetland area, which is another way that I thought we could export and make the money back off the back end of it. And I think also maybe that Wilderness Park Trail that's on the southwest corner of North Platte would also qualify. There's also a lot of that land, you'll notice a lot of the lots on the south end